Iran has officially surpassed its uranium enrichment limit set by the 2015 Iran has officially surpassed its uranium enrichment limit set by the 2015 nuclear deal, and it's warning it'll increase its enrichment to weapons-grade levels if the remaining European signatories fail to act. RT's Ashley Banks is joining us live in studio with more to this. Ashley, how is the U.S. responding?
Well, Iran is completely ignoring President Trump's warning and has announced it will increase its uranium enrichment beyond the limit stated in the 2015 nuclear deal. On Sunday, Trump addressed reporters stating Iran is doing a lot of bad things. He then warned the country that it better be careful. At this time, it's not clear what actions the Trump administration may pursue as a result of Iran's latest announcement. But given the rising tensions between the two countries, many fear this could result in open conflict. Now, earlier today, Iran's deputy foreign minister said Iran's move is simply a result of the U.S. failing to meet its part in the deal.
Today, we are at the end of the 60-day deadline for the end of the first phase of the reduction of our commitments to the JCPOA. And since our demands about the JCPOA and about restoring our oil sales to the level it was before America's withdrawal from the deal have not been realized, therefore, today we are taking the second step. In the first step, we announced that we are no longer committed to limiting our stockpile. Now, in the second step, we have reconsidered our commitments regarding the percentage and density of enrichment, and hereby we announce we are no longer committed to this.
Iran's move has prompted several responses from world leaders. Britain has warned Iran to stop and reverse all actions immediately. Germany has expressed that it's extremely concerned, and Israel considers Iran to be its most dangerous enemy because of its nuclear program. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called on world leaders to impose snapback sanctions on Iran.
Iran has violated its solemn promise under the UN Security Council not to enrich uranium beyond a certain level. The enrichment of uranium is made for one reason and one reason only. It's for the creation of atomic bombs. The leaders of the P5+1 promised and committed themselves to snap back sanctions the minute Iran did that. It just did. Where are you?
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo recently tweeted, quote, Iran's latest expansion of its nuclear program will lead to further isolation and sanctions. Nations should restore the long-standing standard of no enrichment for Iran's nuclear program. Iran's regime, armed with nuclear weapons, would pose an even greater danger to the world. However, the executive director of the Washington-based Arms Control Association, Daryl G. Kimball, says, quote, Iran is clearly not going to enter negotiations for a new deal if these sanctions are in place. This is a self-made Trump administration crisis because it has been taking drastic measures to dismantle the deal without a viable plan B. At this time, Iran is hoping the remaining European countries in the nuclear deal will come up with a way to help the country sell its crude oil overseas and essentially get around U.S. sanctions. To date, Europe has not announced any plans to assist Iran. Meanwhile, the U.S. has called for a special meeting later this week with the International Atomic Energy Agency to discuss Iran and the nuclear deal. Manila, back to you.
All right, making no qualms about it, Iran now says they're enriching uranium to over 3.67% as the U.S. calls foul over what the Trump administration says is the second breach of the JCPOA. Joining us now to break it all down, former Pentagon official Mike Maloof. All right, Mike, first, let's remind people that it was the Trump administration who chose to dump the Iran nuclear deal last year. Now they're saying, hey, wait, that's no fair. So does Trump really have a leg to even stand on here?
The short answer is no.
Yeah.
And I might add, too, that the Europeans themselves aren't even living up to their commitments. They were supposed to be buying that excess uranium,
yeah.
and they're not even doing that. And as a consequence, you're having the overflow of supply, and now they've announced that now they're going to up the enrichment process, which they can go up to. They are a member of the Non-Proliferation Treaty,
right.
even though both sides now are in non-compliance.
Yeah.
There's no agreement.
There's no agreement. Effectively dead?
It's basically dead. Yeah, it's a basically dead deal.
So there's nothing to be broken.
That's correct, as I see it. So you can enrich up to about 20% for medical purposes,
Oh,
and and they have a legitimate purpose for that. They
So we're
use
still under 4% at this point.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's nothing.
this is Netanyahu and company. Lighting their hair on fire again and putting it out with a frying pan, and they're trying to incite a U.S. action, military action against Iran, and the U.S., or at least Donald Trump, is reluctant to do that. Although Pompeo is biting at
And
the
Bolton,
bit.
as we know.
Yeah, they're both biting at the bit, and this is what is creating the confusion. People are wondering, what's U.S. policy?
Right.
What is U.S. policy at this point? Nobody knows.
So let me ask you on that note.
Yes.
Iran still maintains, they keep saying that they're open to a diplomatic solution if the EU steps it up. Number one, I mean, what does that mean, have the EU step it up? But then the Ayatollah has flat out said he doesn't want to work with the U.S. So what's the middle ground, Mike? How can you say you're
well,
open
if
to
the Europeans
diplomacy?
will agree to expand and lessen the economic sanctions by purchasing the oil, that was the EU's commitment to Iran. They're not living up to that commitment.
Okay. So that's what they're saying when they say step it up.
Yeah, step it up. Expand the INSTEX alternative financial arrangement to allow for their legitimate trade in oil, notwithstanding the unilateral U.S. Sanctions.
Now, speaking of that oil, a surprise shakeup. The Andrea Victory, one of those tankers sabotaged off the coast of the UAE back in May, as you recall.
Praise be to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahashai, Bahashem, Lakakadash, the Bahana President, the Apostle of Whitmiston. Peace, blessings, salutation to the Akim, pushing the truth to the holiness of heaven. This is Habakkuk 2, man. I will start at verse 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower. I will watch to see what he say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. Man. And the Lord answered me and said, Write the vision and make it plain upon the table, that he may learn that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end shall speak, and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it surely come to it, not tarry. So, the vision are speaking, according to Habakkuk 2, starting at verse 2, man, and 3. The Iranian, which they are in the scripture, which I will bring shortly, man. They are going against the big bully, America, man. And the Americans are claiming that Iran is violating the deal, man. But who was the first to come out of that deal? I think everybody knows, man. And the European men, they are listening to the American men, because that is the ace beast, man, which control the European and NATO, man, the Europe and the NATO. But the time will coming when the European will just say, man, they will just say that it is enough for you American, man. That time is coming, but not right now, because right now the Britain are listening to America. They say it's an Iranian tanker, an Iranian tankers of oil, man. So these Americans, this bring me to this scripture, man. This is Daniel 7:20, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom sleep fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, talking about America, whose look was more stout than his fellows, man. What's the meaning of stout, man? To be fat, to be big, like those pigs, those fat, big pig, man. Those, if you have watched the pigs, man, those fat, big pig, they are very stubborn, man. They wreak havoc to other pigs, man. Or those big fat lamb, man, they wreak havoc, man. That's how America is. is stout, man. It's a big bully, man. So the big bully, his time is coming to an end, man. So let's go to Second Ezra and see the Iranian in the scripture, man. If you didn't know, the Iranian in the scripture, man. And this war, America is not going to win. Let's start at Second Ezra 15, man. Second Ezra 15, verse 28. Behold, an horrible vision, and his appearance is therefore from the east. Where is the east, man? Middle East is there. Where the nation of the dragon of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth. Shall all that which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Kamanian, which was one of the name of Iran in ancient time. And what will the Kamanian do? Which is as the Iranian. Also the Kamanian raging wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, man. So the Kamanians, the Iranian are not Ishmaelite, man. They are Persian, man. The Elamite. They join the Arabian, man. So the Ishmaelite will come against Babylon, man, and the Iranian will join in that battle. What will happen? Let's see. And they shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrian. Who was the Assyrian, man? The American, man, the present day Assyrian. And then shall the dragon have the upper hand, man. The Arab at the end of the day, they will have the upper hand against America, man. We will see what will happen, man. Because our way are not Yahweh's way, man. Remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in greater power to persecute them. So the Arabian nation will conspire together with Iran, man, and Russia, and China, man, against Babylon. And the European nation will join, man. Things will get out of hand, and the European will leave America, man. America will be on its own. Then this shall be troubled bread, and they keep silence through their power, and they shall flee. And from the land of Assyria shall the enemy besiege them, and they consume some of them, and their hosts shall fear and dread and strife among their king. Behold, the clouds from the east, from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. They shall smote one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star, and the blood shall be from the sword unto the belly, man. This is to tell you the Apocrypha is a correct book, man. Because in the Revelation they tell the blood will be up to the bride horse, man, to the belly. And the dung of many upon the calm hoof. And the last shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon the earth, and they shall see the last shall be afraid, and the tremble shall come upon them. And then shall there come great storm from the south, and from the north, and another part from the west. And the strong wind shall arise from the east, and shall open it. And the cloud which raised up in dust, and the stars and cause fear towards the east, and the west wind, and shall be destroyed. So it's talking about that destruction of the missiles, man, and the chariot. So I want to do a quick lesson about the Iranian, man, canceling their deals, man. The destruction of America is a gradual process, so you need to endure up to the end to be saved, man. The visionary speaking, man. If you don't see, then I have nothing to say to you. This other camp, they don't see this, man. They don't prophesy, they don't do anything. They're just out there trying to convince Esau that we are Israel, man. That era have passed to try to make Esau recognize you. That's what Zabak is doing there out there, man. Trying to gain some brown point from Esau and the truth heading. The spirit of prophecy is not in them, man. It's not in IUIC, it's not in Zabak. Have you ever seen Zabak doing an end time prophecy? Have you ever seen Zabak? Zabak is there cutting people, man. That's what he's doing, man. So the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is not in him, because the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy, man. What is prophecy, man? This end time prophecy, this vision, man, which you are speaking, the mark of the beast and all of us are prophecies, man. So I hope the lesson was edifying. Until next time.